Well, joining us via Zoom to break down the effects of Eskom's rolling blackouts, particularly on business and on the economy, is businessman Khandani Msibi. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Peter, and thank you for having me.
Just how difficult is it to do business nowadays?
It's very hard to do business with the current situation with power. I mean, in our group, we had employees working from home that we are contemplating to bring them to the office because they frequently run out of power in their different areas. And I think the extent to which we're experiencing load shedding is very excessive and very disruptive. And I think there's some businesses that I mean, we like in that we run a business largely where employees use computers and laptops. You might have a little bit of a time before you actually have the power come back. But some businesses that really requires the power to be there at all times are struggling. And I think at a time that we should be creating jobs and attracting investors and also driving entrepreneurship, this just does not bode well for the country's economic turnaround.
I suppose what's happened as well is COVID-19 forced you to think about people working at work and working at home. You send them home and now they don't have power. So it's one bad situation after another.
Absolutely. I think when historians write about the 2 years, 2020 and 2021 in South Africa, as to what had the worst impact on the economy, is it COVID or Eskom? I'm not so sure if that's going to be a very clear answer as to which one had the most devastating impact on the economy, because we may have had lockdowns that lasted for a couple of weeks, but we have been very severe blackouts or rather load shedding that are continuing for a lot more time than we've ever seen in the past. So we are in a situation whereby as business, I mean, you could choose in some sectors to work from home or work in the office, but you actually don't know what is best, because we've never had this kind of a thing that we can have so much of load shedding being actually implemented.
In the past, you'd have these conversations in the boardroom, and most times it would be factoring the cost of energy, and now it's factoring in the absence of energy.
Absolutely. It's much more expensive than just the cost of energy, because it actually means that you have zero recovery on your overheads. I think in the past, when it was just the cost of energy, I mean, I've seen the cost of energy in some of the sectors increase from 5 to 20%, but that's it. You still get to do business. But now business comes to a standstill, which actually means that you are carrying overheads, but you're not recovering those overheads because you're not trading or you're not manufacturing in your facility. So that's actually more expensive than expensive energy.
So just as we were starting to feel like the worst part of COVID might have been behind us, how are you plotting going forward now with this energy story? I suppose it becomes difficult to say to yourself, do we acquire another business? Do we expand the current business? Is everything on pause?
I think, Peter, it's going to be a very difficult period for us as a country, and that we need to grow the economy. We need to build new manufacturing capacity. We need to utilize existing manufacturing capacity. But if we don't have power now, how then do we expect that the economy will grow when today, with the level of economic activity that we have now, with over 70% unemployment for the youth and the highest unemployment we've seen in a long time? If we are sitting there with significantly large labor underutilization and we don't have the power, what happens when there's additional capacity installed or the additional capacity utilization that is actually coming into the economy? We're just not going to be able to pull through. And I think It's said that the management of Eskom does not seem to have a plan around how they can resolve this matter. In fact, the more you listen, is the more you hear the bad news around how long this is going to be. That nobody knows. It could be 3 years, it could be 5 years before we actually have a solution. But we're in for a rough time as a country in that we have a growing level of unemployment, and we need to rapidly grow the economy. But you can't grow the economy without power.
As a group CEO, you need to spend a lot of time thinking strategically. And I just wonder, what kind of information would you like to get from Eskom that might help you strategize?
It's hard to listen to Eskom because you actually get a lot of despondence from what they say. I mean, first of all, they don't have a plan on how they're going to turn the situation around, right? And secondly, that they talk very bad about their equipment and about their people, right? I mean, when you are a CEO of an organization, you must mobilize the organization. But if you're going to go around and say that your company is a dead horse, right? Then it begs the question why you are still there as a CEO of the organization when the organization is a dead horse. Because companies are in different forms. Some are old. I mean, Eskom is almost 100 years old. But we know of people that can take care of antiques. Eskom is old. Give it to someone who can manage antiques, someone who can make it continue to work. We know many people that are actually collectors of old cars, but they can make them work. And if that is his opinion of Eskom, that the power stations are too old, right? Let's get the CEO who knows how to run old equipment. And we've seen that in the days of the Bramley and Goko, that they were able to actually give us 2 years free of load shedding. And I think if we don't make the changes, then I'm actually surprised that the director is keeping his job, other results is keeping his job, and the board of Eskom remains with this level of performance. Anywhere else in the world, and anywhere else in any corporation, this level of performance and this level of this type of talk should have led to instant dismissal. And people that love Eskom, that love the people, that the employees of Eskom, that believe in the capability in Eskom, should actually take over Eskom and run it, because there's no point that he stays there and tell us every day how bad Eskom is. That doesn't help us, because then it actually means that we're in for a very long haul of no power as a country.
All right, I'm going to give you a football analogy that might help ask my question. So it's 80 minutes to go. I mean, 10 minutes left in the match. You're 6-0 down, and you put on a new player. Are you asking too much of someone when the score is 6-0 with 10 minutes to go? Might that be the situation with Eskom?
I don't think the analogy applies in this case, because we have a long life as a country. But coming back to your case with Eskom, you remember the case of I think it was a game between Pirates and Highlands Park, and Jomo Sono was getting married on that day. And the news came to him that the Pirates was like 3-0 or 4-0 down, and he actually left the bride and came back to play, and the Pirates won the day. He scored the goals and won the day. Right? So we as a country have, even though the analogy does not apply, but we've had a case where someone came back and when we ran out of time and created magic. So we need someone who's going to create magic in Eskom. We have to love Eskom the way Jomo Sono loved Orlando Pirates, that you leave the bride and come and turn the situation around, the hopeless situation around.
All right. So you don't believe that things are too bad to fix?
No, I don't think so. In fact, I think that any other thought is unrealistic. Right? I think it will be quicker to fix Eskom than to build another power station. Right? And it will be quicker and cheaper to get the existing power stations to work properly than to try and build new power stations. We must build new power stations, but it's going to take us a long time. I mean, many people talk about renewable energy. Peter, I mean, it's not like people don't like renewable energy, but the technology for renewable energy is not developed to the extent that it can support an industrializing country. Right? If we want to industrialize and we want to create jobs, that renewable energy is not the tool for that. And I think you've seen that with Australia refusing to sign the COP26, the US is not signing. It's because they understand. I mean, China is a typical example of a country that believes in a driving coal. They're building 26 coal power stations, and we're at the point where, as a country, we cannot afford to lose the capability of Eskom beyond where it is. And we need people that actually would want to fix this and are committed to fixing it. Because if we have people who don't believe in it, it's just going to go one way.
All right. So what you're saying is time to bring that player off the field and put someone else on as a super sub. Let me ask you this, perhaps in finality, as a final question. We've been talking about the management and the board at Eskom. The shareholder is government. Yes. Does the shareholder bear any responsibility as well?
The shareholder is surprising in a sense that the shareholder has a responsibility to grow the economy, a responsibility to eliminate poverty, unemployment, and inequality. And you cannot do that without power. So we're kind of confused about the attitude of the shareholder, because by now the shareholder should have relieved both the board and the top two executives of Eskom of their duties and replace them with people that can actually do the job. And I think we're at a point where it's becoming really confusing to the message of saying you want to grow the economy, but at the same time, you're not taking action to fix Eskom.
Mr. Msibi, thank you so much indeed for joining us and sharing your thoughts and your insights on this crisis that the country is in at the moment. Thank you.
You're welcome and good evening.